Be like, hey, what'd you get on that test? Oh, you got that score? Oh. No one's gonna say that. Hey, my name is Diamond Jones and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be talking about a topic that's been heavily on my mind this week, which is how to deal with getting bad grades and how to stop stressing over grades in general to improve our academic mindset. So if this sounds good to you or you think it might be helpful to you, definitely stick around to the end of this video. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So currently this week, I've scored lower on a test than I expected. As usual, no one expects to get a lower grade than they want, obviously. And I'm a pretty good student. I go to early college. I'm a pretty straight A student, actually. You know, it's an accomplishment. So I got a lower grade than I usually do. And you know, this happens like every once in a while. You get a grade, it's unexpected, and you're like, whoa. Like, I was not expecting to do that. Anyway. So yeah, I was going through this week, but I actually wasn't that upset about it. Like, the only thing I ever really worried about was someone asking me what my grade was and then being like, oh, you got that grade? But personally, I was like, okay, I got this grade. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I just have to learn from it. And I'm like, that's okay. And I was so proud of myself. So I know it probably took me a while to get to this mindset when it comes to grades, because grades are very important to me, as I'm sure they are to a lot of people like you watching. So I just wanted to go over this. And yeah, so sometimes tests just don't seem fair. And sometimes not enough time may have been given for this test. Maybe the teacher didn't adequately prepare you. And so some of these are factors that we need to keep in mind when we're getting that bad test score back and get into this mindset of blaming ourselves and thinking we're dumb and all that kind of stuff. Because some of this stuff is ultimately out of our control, and all we could really do is do our best and try our best. And you have to have sympathy or empathy for yourself during those times of trouble. And the biggest thing with getting a bad test score back is that we really have to learn from it. We have to learn from these experiences, because ultimately, if we're just upset about it, then they're basically worthless at this point. Like, not to be that harsh, but what's the point if we can't learn from it and grow from it? Ultimately in life, we're going to have mistakes that we make, whether it's with grades or not. And so the best thing that we can do is learn from it and better prepare because of this. And the best thing we can do during this time is also try to evaluate maybe why we didn't score so high. Did we study? Number one is a good thing to ask. And if you check that box, you're like, okay, well, what was I studying? How was I studying? Did I study all the material? Did I just focus on one sector? Did our teacher tell us what material to specifically study? Did I take enough time studying it? And sometimes you may check all these boxes as well, but if you don't, then just go back and evaluate that and kind of think, okay, how can I improve my study habits for this next test? Do I need to talk to the teacher when I'm hearing an announcement about a test and ask what's going to be on it specifically, so that I may know what I need to specifically study? Or maybe you just need to go ahead and study everything, you know, just in case. So it's just some things that you need to keep in mind for the next test, and ultimately just learn a lot from this one. And also try to see if these study habits actually made you feel as though you were prepared for this test. Did the study habits I have and the mindset that I have make me feel that I was actually prepared for this test, that I was ready to go head on with it? So also think about that as well, to see if these methods are actually effective when you're using them. And then another thing that you can do is plan out a plan of action for the next test as you collect all this information. So ultimately, we can avoid some of these instances in the future. They're still going to happen, but we can decrease the appearance of them a lot. And another thing I wanted to talk about was just having empathy for your past test self. I know it's really hard, and we can ultimately just go and blame, why didn't I do as well? Why didn't I pick this answer that was so dumb? But ultimately, we have to have empathy with ourselves and understand that when we were in the testing room, when we were going through this test, we were not expecting to get a bad grade. We were simply trying to do our best and hoping for the best. And sometimes that didn't happen and we just got what we got. But you have to have empathy with your testing self. You weren't trying to get a bad grade. You were going through everything, all the different strategies, trying to make sure you chose the best answer choices. And it just didn't work out the way you thought it would. And that's okay. But like I said earlier, we have to learn from these things and not get too mad at ourselves or our situation. Because because ultimately it's just a part of life and something that we're going to need to know in the future. And if school can prepare us in any way, this is a way that we can do it. And number 4, lastly, we just want to understand that your grades do not equate to your worth. And I feel like this is kind of an issue nowadays. Maybe I'll make another video about it. But sometimes I feel like we can equate grades with our worth sometimes, and we'll compare our grades with other people's grades. We'll be like, hey, what'd you get on that test? Oh, you got that score? Like, oh, no one's gonna say that. But sometimes you're like, oh, okay. And if you get a grade higher than someone, you feel good about yourself. If you get one lower, you feel better about yourself. But that shouldn't be that way. It should honestly kind of sort of be neutral. Like, your grades shouldn't affect your emotions that much. It's okay to be joyful over them. It's okay to be sad over them sometimes. But don't let them hold enough weight to where you can't really function, or you just internally blame yourself and get into an unhealthy mindset, is all that I'll say about that. And so yeah, your grades do not equate to your worth. Only God can determine that. And you're the same person when you get those more bad grades. I don't know how else to say it. You are still the same person. And you need to understand that. Sometimes your habits didn't change. Maybe the test was just different and you didn't know how to cope with it. It's as simple as that, to be honest. So just make sure that you're not measuring your worth or your happiness on your grades, but that you learn how to have joy in all situations as well. So yeah, that's basically all that I have for this video and for this week. And so if you're around to the end, I want to thank you for watching. I hope that you consider subscribing to my channel. It would really help, and hopefully I can come up with some more videos as my sophomore year is ending. And so there will be a few more Sophomore Diaries episodes. After that, I'll have to change the title to something else. But yeah, school's about to end. We're almost over. So if you want more content like this and more wisdom, if you are going to early college or high school or just dealing with grades in general, please consider subscribing, helping out the channel. This subject was very much on my heart clearly from this week, so I hope that this helped you, and I hope and pray that you would be encouraged after this. And as always, stay blessed, and I pray you have a good day. Bye.